On this episode of Roadkill, we're bringing back the Monza.
And we are going way beyond leaf blowers. Remember our Monza? Way back in 2013, we bought this thing from a used car lot, and then we boosted it with 5 leaf blowers in the back of it, and we took it land speed racing and went like 139 miles an hour. And ever since then, this thing has been sitting at Jeff Lutz's shop back there in Pennsylvania. But finally, we have another idea, and the way we're gonna do that is with a trailer behind the Monza with an engine mounted to it, and the engine will be running, spinning a centrifugal supercharger, which will then feed into our old discharge pipe from the leaf blowers and send boost to the engine in the Monza. So it will be a functional, power-producing boost caboose.
Like most great things in life, the Boost Caboose idea came about after a session of tacos and beer between Freiberger and I. And really, I think the beer was the impetus for this genius plan. Behind these gates lies the land of abandoned engines and parts and various projects from Roadkill and other shows that our shop manager deems too valuable to leave out here in the middle of everything else, so.
See, way back here is the big block Chevy that we ran in the Bonneville Camaro when I blew it up, but it already has a Vortex supercharger on it, thereby making it the perfect motor to mount on our trailer. But we're gonna have to take the engine apart and figure out what went wrong and try and fix it. This is like the Roadkill tomb of broken dreams. All our leftover junk that doesn't work anymore. So this is like a 491 cubic inch big block Chevy that made, let's see, 791 horsepower on motor and 1,105 at 10 pounds of boost. I think our plan here is just to rip this thing apart as it sits on the stand, mostly take the cylinder heads off and find out what went wrong. We'll probably see holes in pistons, stuff like that. My hope is that we did not melt out any of the chamber, gack, anything like that. I don't think parts fell out. I think it's literally a melted hole in a piston.
Oh, there's a hole.
That's pretty gnarly down here.
This is the thinnest part of the piston too right here, so. Ah, yeah, last night didn't quite go as planned. Started tearing the motor down. I was actually gonna take the thing completely apart because I was thinking, all we need is one piston, and we're good. But when I took out the damaged piston, I found a few things that concerned me, and now I need to show them to Dave because it's his motor and he needs to decide, are we going to put this back together with baling wire and duct tape just because it needs to spin a blower and not move a car? Or are we going to find a other motor?
Good morning.
Good morning. I stopped last night because I pulled out the number 2 piston, the one with the hole in it. The rod's not entirely happy.
Oh, really?
You can see the heat generated from...
You can actually see the pin is torched a little bit.
Yeah. You could probably dingle ball that.
No, this is junk.
Let's go find our motor.
I know.
We need a motor.
That does not look good.
Oh, yeah.
It's broken in
it's
half.
Not a 4-door. It shouldn't be open back here.
Why is this thing bent in half? Well, that's a stupid question. Oh man, look at that. Because the fenders have folded in. We're about to pluck the only valuable part off of the Buick, which is the 350 engine and transmission that we bought for our Corvette chassis. This car is so much worse than the last time I saw it, and that's saying something.
Oh, poor car.
It's not gonna come.
Oh. Spent so much money and worked so hard. Only for the car to do this during transport.
I have no plan whatsoever. We're just gonna hook stuff up and pull. Okay. Okay. Now it's gonna feel like driving a mini truck. Boom, boom, boom. The engine we pulled out of the Buick is a 350 small block Chevy, different than that big block that was blown up. But now we gotta build the Boost Caboose.
This was the $400 model. There was a $1,600 engine test stand that we could have bought, but I thought it was going on top of a trailer.
We now discovered this is the trailer
This
frame.
is the trailer now.
Yeah, I was standing around going, man, what are we gonna do? He drew up like this rad drawing of a trailer, and all of a sudden I'm like, why aren't we just putting wheels and tires on this? What we have to do now is take the transmission off because we're not going to use it, and then we even have motor mounts here. We can start building our mounts for the trailer, even though we still don't have a trailer axle, which is a big problem.
Today's going pretty good. We have parts here. There's sparks flying. Things are being attached. I'm betting by the end of the day, you might actually hear a noise out of that engine. Not so much this one. In fact, we've actually not even started this one, and we haven't seen this car in about 3 years, so hopefully it still runs.
We got these headers a long time ago when we were building the vet cart, because we were going to use these tractor pull type headers that just point straight up in the air. They've been sitting around just waiting for this opportunity. This is a simple Vortec carbureted blow-through supercharger kit for a small block Chevy, but I'm worried that the headers I just installed aren't going to fit with the blower. Oh, I'm a complete chump. The blower's gonna mount right here. I have to flip the headers side to side, and even then they might not work. Look how the air intake is right next to the header. Not good. We've got this thing giving the illusion of being done. It's like got a lot of stuff going on, but there's a whole lot of detail left to happen, and I'm really worried about it. I'm gonna have to do radiator hoses. We still have to mount the fuel cell. We still have to put axles under it. We need to make a hitch on the Monza. And then there's gonna be a bunch of other stuff that creeps up that we haven't thought of.
We're going to attempt to start the Boost Caboose for the very first time. Well, it might.
Fires right up!
Wow. We win.
I'm worried that with 2 axles, it's actually not gonna have any tongue weight. His argument for 2 axles is that it's more stable. Because like if you put 1 axle on it, you can grab the tongue and like turn the trailer. And if you put 2, you can't. So therefore, he's thinking it doesn't do this on the highway as much. But I think as small as the trailer is, but as big as the tires are and how far apart they'd have to be, that we would end up with virtually no tongue weight. So my vote is 1. I think we're going with 1, mostly out of laziness. We're behind schedule. Here's a fun pointer. The electric fuel pump on the Monza is hooked up to the headlight switch. And so when our video guys were shooting beauty shots of the Monza earlier with the headlights on, the fuel pump was running the whole time. Little did anyone know, float was sunk in the carburetor. Therefore, fuel was pouring down the carburetor into the engine for about half an hour while they were shooting video. So now I'm gonna have to drain the oil, see how much gas is in it, then pull all the spark plugs out, see if I need to spray any fuel out of the cylinders. Hopefully it's all run past the rings by now. Wow, look at that. Pure gas right at the end. I fought all the spark plugs out of this thing, and now I'm gonna turn it over by hand. Watch all the gas that's gonna pour out of the cylinders. There we go. It's all pouring out of spark plug holes. Save us a whole lot of trouble if somebody would just throw a match right now.
This is our new cross member for our axle stubs. Those are gonna bolt on right there. That's gonna shove up in the chassis and get welded to the chassis. It'll be amazing. That's exactly how it sounded when I broke the record in Ohio.
Okay. Ready?
Let her down.
There we go.
Let's check the ride.
Oh, this thing's good. Look at all that tongue weight.
And that's when we found out that it is kind of a pain in the neck to put a trailer hitch on a Monza.
There we go. Boom. Okay, now we have to roll over to the drill press, use those holes as a guide, drill through this, and get out of here.
We didn't build that part though.
I know, so it's okay. Ready?
Yeah.
What you have witnessed is the escalation from leaf blowers, look at that beauty right there, all the way to the Boost Caboose. The only thing that's really lacking here is the actual boost part of the program. We need to put the blower belt on and run a hose from here up to the engine and then figure out how to tune the thing, or not, and go for a drive with this thing screaming at like 5,000 RPM, making like 7 pounds of boost into that engine, and maybe even making more power as a result. Meanwhile, packing it in for the night. They're doing construction on our shop and we got thrown out. So we were here till like, what, 1 in the morning last night? That's when I got home. Finally got the last few details done on this thing. We're gonna hook it up and show you some of the craziness that happened. So check this out. Finnegan named this last night, which was genius. The Snuffleupagus.
Mr. Snuffleupagus?
So this is our boost tube that goes from our supercharger all the way through the car. You can see here where we used to have our leaf blowers going on. There's a hole in our firewall, it just goes right up. This is the same arrangement that we had with our leaf blowers, where this is the blow-off valve basically. So the supercharger can be running, boosting the engine, and all the air will be blowing in here. Then when you need boost, bam!
I thought about this. This is the genius of this plan is,
There's genius.
if you have an oddball engine that you cannot afford to have a custom supercharger kit for,
Yeah.
but you have the skills to build yourself a trailer, you can buy a supercharger kit for a small block Chevy.
Right.
It makes sense.
It's the whole point.
Makes sense.
Any vehicle you have with a tow hitch now has boost.
Right.
You got to see the fuel system. It's so bad. This is among our worst work ever. Okay. So you're never supposed to mount an electric fuel pump up here. They don't like to pull gas, they like to push it, so you're supposed to put them back near the tank, and you're supposed to make sure that they are fed with gasoline. Well, we found out that the Monza has an electric fuel pump in the tank that's feeding about 6.5 PSI, so it is feeding this fuel pump, which will give us more pressure, into this regulator, and it's gonna be boost referenced, although that's the last thing we need to hook up. Because the carburetor vent is having boost fed to it, you have to compensate your fuel pressure for that. Because if you have 7 PSI of fuel pressure going in the bowl and 7 PSI of air going in the vent, that means 0 fuel pressure, 0 fuel flow.
It's quite a roadblock.
Yeah, so the boost reference makes the regulator increase fuel pressure in direct proportion to boost.
That's all science. My favorite part of this whole thing is the return line. We're going full Back to the Future here.
Yep.
David made an awesome part that routes it through the vent and then uses race-proven and completely legal aluminum tubing all the way over the roof, back in to the stock filler neck.
That's where the gas goes, right?
Well, we didn't have a gas cap anyway, so you might as well have put it there. This really looks like pieces of the DeLorean right there.
Finally, we got to the point where we can go test our theory. We're gonna hit the road, go up to the desert, and feed this thing some boost.
Feels like it drives the same.
It's like the trailer's not even there. This thing is a towing machine. We're in the middle of nowhere, like around Mojave, Tehachapi, someplace middle of the desert, California. And we came out here so that we could do our boost runs with the Boost Caboose. What we have to do is a little bit of maintenance and work here, and then we're gonna fire up the Boost Caboose, plumb the boost to the Monza, and we're gonna have to figure out if the thing runs or not.
Yeah, remarkably, the last 3 years have been pretty kind to this car. It seems to run better than when we had it. And maybe that's because it sat at a race car shop for 3 years without us working on it.
My biggest thing is that we don't have any kind of a bypass valve on it other than the handheld one. So it's gonna be funny to try and figure out how to return to idle. But what's gonna be great about it is that, you know how everybody always wants that dream of the Mad Max supercharger where you can flip a switch and turn it on and off? That's basically what this is. Because we're gonna have boost going in the carb, venting out of the valve on the dash, and when we want boost, just, you're gonna make a spacer out of the gaff tape, just tape it up until it grows a 1/4 inch in size.
Yeah.
Our problem right now is we've got this massive kink in the hose. So we're trying to figure out how to work that out. So we're gonna try and feed it more into the car. Okay, feeding.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. Boost sealing the Roadkill way. It's completely wrong. Actually, this tube is shoved far enough into here that it's sort of sealing. What we're doing now is a boost reference to our regulator from the carburetor hat. And I bought all the hardware to do it, minus the actual hose, but this hose is giant.
What about every scrap of fuel line from all 5 leaf blowers? There's probably 5 sections of line this long we could scrap together. Look at that.
Oh, we could probably do this.
So we get enough of these together, we're dialed.
We need 1 to 2 more. Trying to see if there's anything we can use like this as a connector.
You could rip the nipples out of the carburetors right there.
Look at that.
Connectors.
Wow. You're a genius. There's a bolt that we don't want to back out and rub our supercharger tensioner, belt tensioner. So I'm gonna tape it just so it doesn't back out. The Boost Caboose is ready to make heat. Oh yeah.
Is it there?
Yeah, rev it up. Oh yeah.
It works.
What's melting? The air filter.
Things that are touching.
What else?
Things that are touching other things.
Well, these headers have never run before and they got paint on them.
Yeah.
Everything is completely buttoned up. I think our process here is going to be fire up the Monza first, chalk it so it doesn't roll away, fire this thing up, set the RPM. At that point, it will be making boost, and I want to go look at our boost reference fuel system and make sure that the fuel pressure is coming up in proportion to boost before we go out there and drive the thing around. Because if it's not, the engine will go lean and probably explode. It's overheating. The blower belt is shredding.
Oh, that's what was hitting me?
Yes. And I reached in to try and cut the zip tie and it just scalded me. The hose is burning on the header. This is well thought out.
So we're probably only gonna get 1 shot at this.
Yeah.
Why is the belt shredding?
And the belt is shredding itself.
It's not even aligned.
It took the inner guide off of the, what do you call it, completely. See that?
Why?
Remember that bolt that I taped up so that it wouldn't back out and gack the tensioner? Yeah, you saw this coming.
So pretty much this only works when you're moving, I think.
If then. Yeah, not enough airflow to cool it off. First run, not good because it wasn't a run at all. the engine completely failed before we even got that far. This tensioner is supposed to have one of these on both sides. The bolt shredded it off, and that's what guides the belt. So we're gonna have problems with the belt falling off the whole time now.
Oh, we really want to make a run here, and this is more of a Band-Aid what we just did. We just took the bolt out that was falling out, put the belt back on even though it's shredded, and we'll give it another run. I don't know what's gonna happen though.
Can't ruin this belt more. Okay, take 2.
Careful out.
The boost caboose shut off. We out of gas already? No? It just died.
Let me shut the fuel pump off here. Dude, it totally works though.
It totally works.
Oh my God, the moment you slam the ball valve shut,
It takes off.
it goes faster.
I know, and we don't even know what the tune-up is. It's probably a disaster. Our belt is still on.
That's
The heat from the fan is not that big. Did the wire fall off?
The tune is up there.
It is so loud in there.
Earmuffs would be awesome.
I need
right?
earmuffs. It is so loud. The air coming out of the valve just shrieks. Woo! I think a lot of boost is leaking because it should give us more power than it seems to be.
Well, it's probably helping our cause.
Of course, if you think about it, I had that thing at 3,500 RPM.
Yeah, and it's got to go through all of this.
Right. It's got to go through all of that. It might be a couple pounds of boost.
Yeah. So you're saying go for $5 grand?
Yeah. That is what I was saying.
Let's go again then.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
We haven't developed our race routine yet. Is it fuel pump, fire Monza, fire trailer?
Yeah. So you're not deadheading that into this. I'm so happy this is working.
I know, me too.
Because there's no bigger kick in the nuts than doing a lot of work like that for something like this that seemingly makes no sense and then having it not work at all.
It's not dumb if it works.
That's right.
That's what I've heard. And it works. How come it'll only fire and not run?
No gas in the carb.
Okay, so let's review. We pulled up and the thing died.
Flooded? Well, obviously we have air.
We have spark.
We have fuel.
I don't get it. I mean, the distributor's still in the right place. I'm still not completely convinced it hasn't skipped a tooth on the timing chain.
Yeah, that ain't right.
Wonder if it skipped a timing chain. It's not electrical. Okay, what happened here?
That's unreal. We just stopped. We just parked.
I know, but remember it died. And I think I called it 10, 15 minutes ago.
That's unreal.
It jumped a tooth on the timing chain. What that means is that the camshaft and the crankshaft are out of sync now. But the other thing that it does is it changes the position of the distributor in relationship to where the pistons are and everything. So what I just did is advanced the thing and it fired right up and ran. So probably what that means is that it slipped one tooth off of the timing chain on this engine, but it'll run well enough to spin a supercharger to give us boost to do our test. So what's gonna happen is we figure we need to test our theory here with actual performance. So we're gonna run it naturally aspirated between a couple phone poles and just time it with a phone, and then hook it up with 5,000 RPM worth of boost from the Caboose and try it again. So we'll roll 20 miles an hour to eliminate traction as a variable, wide open to the third pole, and I'll just be spotting it and timing it. And
Okay. You have your zip ties?
Yeah. Okay. Let's go make history. Okay, third pole. We're at 25 miles an hour.
and go.
That's better. Well, strangely enough, if you cork this thing up and make it breathe through a long hose, that fixes the tune for it naturally aspirated, and it runs great. So that was 10.1 seconds, I think, for 4 poles.
Yep,
All right,
10.1. That was your number.
not bad.
Now we're ready for our B test with boost. Earlier we had the Boost Caboose running at 3,500 RPM. This time we're going all out, 5,000 RPM.
Yeah! 860! Man!
860 in the quarter, dude.
860 in the 4-pole! We did it! That thing, you would not believe it. When you pull the valve on it, the thing just scoots. He was bang shifting and it was coming up so high.
It's all about 5,000 RPM. Dude, it works.
Yep.
We picked, okay, so 4 poles, not that far apart. These are 4 light poles.
It's not a
electric
quarter
poles. No, and we picked up over a second.
Yeah.
1010 to 860.
1.3 seconds.
Dude. No, 5. Second and a half. 1010 to 860.
10, 10.
Second and a half, dude.
860. Oh, right, 1010.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, it was a rocket when that thing worked.
When I hit the handle, we were both like, whoa!
This was awesome.
That was great. I wish we knew how much boost it was. I wish we knew the air fuel mixture, but it doesn't matter because we proved our point. That garbage works.
I don't even, yeah, not a waste of our time and
No.
resources. Not at all.
No. Let's go.
All right. First round's on me. This was rad.
Massive burnout out of here.
So there you go. The Monza is back with more ridiculous levels of boost than ever. And you might be asking yourself, why would we go to all this trouble? It's because the Boost Caboose is a universal implement of boost for any car with a trailer hitch. Hook it up, feed the snuffleupagus over to your engine, modify the fuel system a little bit, and all of a sudden you've got power. You also might be asking yourself, why wouldn't we just take that small block Chevy supercharger and install it on the small block Chevy in the Monza? Well, that would just be inconvenient. I mean, the power steering pump's in the way. But most of all, that just wouldn't be roadkill.
You can find all the parts from these builds by visiting jegs.com/roadkill.